Yes. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Narik Chase channel. I'm your boy, Narik Chase. Going ahead and continue on with part 4 of the worst movies ever list that I came up with. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump on into this. First, we're going to talk about an exceptionally bad superhero movie called The Wolverine. Excuse me. There were a number of problems with it. One being an actress that, well, I ain't gonna say actress. I'll say more a character that was a female character that wasn't really memorable. His so-called love interest. Now, the pink-haired chick, I liked her a lot more. She was actually fun. She had more personality and had a lot more to do. So I would have liked her character to have a bit more prominence in the movie. But aside from that, one of the biggest problems was the movie felt watered down. This is Logan. People died. Why in the hell is it that he's fighting ninjas? Or not even really ninjas. He's fighting humans. I hate that. Quit putting him against humans. We want to see him fight mutants, for crying out loud. I think the most satisfying Wolverine fights I've ever seen was Wolverine versus Sabretooth and Wolverine versus Juggernaut. And, you know, Wolverine versus Yuriko. Well, I could say Wolverine versus Mystique, too. Those are like the 4 most memorable fights because he actually fought mutants that was kicking his tail. So this movie was pretty bad on that part, too. Look, I'm on the fence about the whole Silver Samurai thing. In some aspects, the way the story was kind of built up, it kind of made sense. But at the same time, it would have been actually more awesome to see him fight an actual guy in a samurai suit rather than a mechanical samurai with a guy inside it. So there's a number of things that could have been done better with this film. Of course, I got to talk about Blade Trinity. Look, I love Ryan Reynolds. I think the guy's funny. Jessica Biel, I did not think she was a problem in the film. I actually thought she was pretty awesome. The main villain chick, I can't remember what her name is. I really liked her character because she did something different. They did they did a great thing where Blade doesn't fight necessarily vampires. He fights humans, and they use the FBI to go after him. So I like that. That was actually a good story. But the biggest problem with it is Dracula wasn't as memorable as he should have been, and there was way too much humor in it. Look, I'm all for the humor. And there was a lot of moments where, yes, the humor did kind of set in a little bit. But it was way too much humor, and it didn't feel dark like it should have. Like with the whole vampire hunter group, it's like I could not take them seriously at all. That was another thing that I hate about it. Is like, who are these guys? You got the blind chick. Yes, I liked her character because she actually contributed something to the group. You got Ryan Reynolds and you have Jessica Biel. Okay, they fight. Fine. The other crew I didn't like. And also, it didn't seem like the movie itself didn't take itself seriously because there's no way in hell 3 freaking people are going to be walking the street in broad daylight, mind you, with all of this weapons and gear on and not get the police called on them. That's a problem. But I will say Dracula probably was the weakest villain of all the villains in the Blade series. Wasn't memorable, didn't do anything cool whatsoever. The transformation, the him and Blade fight was pretty cool, but the whole thing with him transforming into this demon thing was not impressive at all. Nomak was more badass than him. Freaking Frost was more badass than that guy. So Blade Trinity could have been a hell of a lot better. Terminator Genesis. Great potential, bad movie. I didn't mind like the whole where they were doing all the throwbacks to the originals. I thought that was done really well. My problem is Jack Courtney should not have been a freaking John Connor. He would have been a better Terminator than that. So that was a bad casting call. The whole John Connor being turned into a Terminator, okay, I could kind of get behind that too. Fine, I don't mind that. The whole thing where they didn't answer who in the hell sent them back in time, didn't like that. Who in that, how in the hell, like, you know how it ended off where Skynet actually didn't die? Didn't like that part either. They should have just kept it. They should have just kept it the way it kept it. Yes, I understand that in this story, You can't stop Judgment Day. It's just always going to be something that's going to, start it up again. It's going to always, they can't stop it. There's always going to be something that's going to happen that's going to lead to it. And in this movie, they tried to pull it off at the end. They could have did a hell of a lot better job, but it just sucked. But that's my main problem with it. And then some of the sequences I wish they didn't do. Like the whole bus thing, and the bus flipped and all that. It was cool, but it was like, what was the purpose of that? So I don't know. And plus, they did one thing that I hated. They brought the Terminators to the police station, but you don't see neither one of them kicking ass. And I would have liked to see them kicking ass. You see them fight a little bit, but they don't really kick ass. But by far, the best part of that movie was the beginning part where you actually see fucking battle between the robots and humans. Outside of that, not really memorable. I mean, like I said, I go back and say, yes, there were some cool moments in it, but it could have been a hell of a lot better movie. Again, these lists are about bad movies, not all necessarily are terrible. Some could have been better. Knights of Badassdom, did not like it. I thought it was going to be cool. It wasn't cool whatsoever. I like the idea of this demon or whatever the hell this thing is coming back as his girlfriend, but they didn't utilize that at all. Like, yes, it was his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, I mean, but it's like, what purpose did that serve? It didn't serve any purpose. It like showed one moment where it was like kind of relevant, and then she just turned to this hulking giant demon and started killing people. And I'm like, wow. So it was like, I mean, it's a good idea. You would think them having them live things where they play like knights and sorcerers and shit would actually be pretty cool, and the actual demon shows up, but it really wasn't. Yeah, it really sucked. Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. The zombies did not need to be in that movie. It was that whole zombie thing was just shoot in. Look, I know it's based off a book, but they could have did a hell of a lot better job. I was more interested in the bureaucracy and the politics and the relationships and the drama and stuff more than I actually gave a damn about the freaking zombies. So what does that tell you? Steel. Everything about that movie sucked. Everything. There was nothing good about it at all. That has no enjoyable factor at all. So I'm not even going to go into that. Dracula 3000. Yes, it'd be cool to see Dracula in space, and it kind of had like an interesting story, but the B movie aspect, no. If it was like a higher budget, I could kind of see it. And plus, Casper Van Dien was in it, so it was going to kind of suck. The Dark Tower. That should not have been a movie. It should have either been a series of movies, maybe three movie trilogy or something, or a 4-movie set, or a television series. Did not need to be a single movie, because there's a lot of stuff that happened that you don't know about. Okay, I don't mind movies like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on that you don't know about, but it has to be enough in the movie for you to understand what's going on. And also, the movies have got to be badass. I mean, Idris Elba is playing this badass gunslinger, and even though he gets a few moments in it, he doesn't really do anything in the freaking movie. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey's in it, and yes, he plays a pretty cool bad guy, but he's really shallow. He's just there to just be a bad guy, Just the movie could have been better. Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time. My problem with that movie was I didn't feel the stakes. There was no exposition on the bad guy. And if you got 3 generations of characters, the duel should have been a hell of a lot better. Plus, the other characters in their universes or timelines or what the hell ever should have been doing something too. So that was my biggest problem with this movie. Yes, the duel was kind of cool. Three of the main characters from each series, the main character from the 3 series, are fighting this one guy. But the duel itself just sucked ass. I mean, it was kind of cool, but it's like, nah, this dude should have really had y'all on the ropes if he's supposed to be that badass. I mean, if you're taking a turn and he's taking a turn, and you take a turn and he take a turn, he's got to have a pretty badass deck. I didn't see that whatsoever. So the movie could have been better. In fact, I could see Yu-Gi-Oh's Bonds Beyond Time being the actual series, then I see it as this freaking movie. Not to mention, again, they don't give no exposition on the bad guy. They don't tell you how the hell develop technology to go into the past. They don't tell you what the hell happened in the future. All you just know is that the dual monsters is responsible for the end of the world, but you don't know how. So, and you don't say where the hell this guy is and how and why is he literally the last person. I don't know. This movie just sucked. Sex Tape, Cameron Diaz, and I can't remember that the other guy, Jason Segel. The movie was an interesting idea. These couple try to rekindle their marriage. They do a sex tape. It accidentally gets leaked on the internet. Could have been better on so many levels. It just felt like it relied too much on like in your face jokes rather than actual clever ones. And then the whole sex tape thing feels like it was just shoot in, to be honest. Because like so many things were happening in the movie that really didn't have really too much to do with the sex tape exposure thing. It's like, yeah, the sex tape got exposed, but like even like how it got exposed. Who in the hell records a sex tape on a freaking iPad? That's stupid. But it could have been a much better movie, especially that one sequence where they kept showing them trying to do new positions and stuff, but it felt like it was going on way too long. And how they kind of got it resolved, just Superman the movie. It was Superman's way too much of a Boy Scout. I didn't see really no internal struggling with the character. Lex Luthor, the whole performance of his character. Gene Hackman. Look, I ain't got nothing against Gene Hackman, but the character itself was just stupid, cartoony, and corny. I hated Lois Lane in this series because she's a bitch. That's basically the bottom line. She's just a shallow bitch, and I cannot stand her character. So when she died, I had no problem. The whole thing with him going back in time by spinning the world in the opposite direction, no, did not like that. I thought that was freaking stupid. And plus, it's just full of just dumb, goofy stuff that I cannot stand. So that's it for Superman the movie. Even though I do like the second one better. In fact, the second one is my favorite of all of those four. But the first one I don't like. I don't like the third one, and I don't like the fourth one either. Jason X. The reason I don't like this one is, and it's not that I don't like it. It could have been better. Is the thing is about it. It should have been taken seriously. The movie, you could tell, was not taken seriously. They put a little bit too many jokes into it. It feels way too much B-rated. If it was somebody that actually gave a damn and they kind of had a higher budget, it would probably came out a bit better. The characters aren't really memorable whatsoever. The main chick, I can't remember what her name is, but she was probably the most likable character, and I'm just saying like character throughout the entire series. So that was like my thing with her. It's just like. And I did like the way Jason looked. I thought he did look pretty badass. Even though some of the costume design choices did kind of look stupid. But it's just the whole Jason X, like, what was it? That the military was trying to transport him and he like wiped them out and like the whole time he was there, he was like he didn't try to get out, and then they get there, he gets out, just kills everybody like in like a minute. They're like, come on now. But if the person, like him being in space, I didn't mind actually, because it was kind of like a decent reason. Freaking mustache is on in my mouth and stuff. Damn. But anyways, if they'd been a little bit more serious with it, it could have been a much better movie. Warcraft. There's so much wrong with this movie. For one, most of the characters don't give a damn about. 2, they try to make it set up for a sequel. 3, way too much freaking CGI. They should have worked out the CGI. They should have done a little bit less CGI and a little bit more of the... Look, I can understand the motion capture is the new thing now. We have access to all the technology for all this, for the CGI and all that. But there are some moments where CGI does not need to be in a movie, especially a movie like this, because even though Warcraft is pretty big, I don't think there's a big fan base for the movie itself. And plus, it does have a bunch of conveniences in it that really kind of don't make any sense. So that's a point. That's a point right there. But and I could hardly stomach the movie. I just had to let it go. A Good Day to Die Hard. One, Bruce Willis. This is not a John McClane movie. John McClane movie. I did not see John McClane in the movie whatsoever. Two, Jai Courtney. No. Three, no. There was no Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the movie. If she would have been in the movie, it would have been a little bit better. And really, the bad guys and the story, pretty much. Look, I don't mind John McClane going to go help his son who's undercover. That I can understand that story. One, they shouldn't have went to Russia. It should have been in America. Maybe it had some Russian bad guys in America doing this, and he was trying to help his son. Makes more sense. The bad guys, none of them are memorable. And the whole thing about really John McClane's thing in the Die Hard series that makes it a little bit more Die Hard-ish is John McClane in every movie has back and forth banter with the bad guys. You don't get that in this movie at all. So that's one big problem I have with this one. But the movie just sucks. Especially that little 15-minute car chase sequence that they harped on a little bit too long. Bride of Chucky, the Chucky franchise got flushed down the toilet. My problem with Bride of Chucky wasn't serious. If they'd have took it a little bit more serious, it would have been a much better movie. The Last Airbender. The story sucked. The performances sucked. Some of that, there was literally not enough action. There should have been fights like literally every 20 minutes, in my opinion. Some of the bending and stuff, like all of that stuff, yeah, it was pretty cool. But just everything else, pretty much of the movie, just pretty much sucked. Dude that played Aang, like the fights, that's what you'd like to see Avatar for. Yeah, it's a great story and it's got great characters, but you want to see some badass fights. You don't get that in this movie, like really at all. You get maybe one memorable fight, and Aang does do some pretty cool stuff here and there. Like they do some pretty cool stuff here and there, but the movie outside of that, no. I think I did talk about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Now I'm talking about Mortal Kombat. My problem with Mortal Kombat it was just a boring ass movie. The CGI was terrible. Although I will give it to them, they did a half decent job with Goros, with the practical effects, with the forearms and stuff. And my biggest problem with the movie is the fights. The fights are pretty damn lazy. The best fights you might get is actually either the Liu Kang versus Reptile or the Liu Kang versus Sub-Zero. But it's most likely the best fight you're going to really get was the Liu Kang versus Reptile. The rest of the fights, no. Let me correct myself. The best fight in this freaking movie was Johnny Cage versus Scorpion. The rest of the fights have nothing on that. And that's what pissed me off about this movie. Especially the end fight. And then we got Resident Evil, the final chapter. What I didn't like about that, they has interesting characters they didn't do nothing with. Wesker was in the movie, didn't do nothing with him. You have N. Glenn's character in the movie, did not need to be in the movie. It should have been Wesker doing all of this stuff. They had this awesome ass Asian guy that was kicking ass. I would have liked for them to done a bit more with that character. They didn't do nothing with him. And it just, they introduced a whole bunch of new stuff they don't do nothing with. The characters from the Retribution, they're not in the movie at all. You don't know what the hell happened to them. And the ending cliffhanger from Retribution, you don't get no resolution on what really went on. Yes, you get to see that everything got messed up, but Alice is literally the only person there, and they don't show you this actual battle between the BOWs and the U.S. military, or what's left of it. So that made me mad. I'm like, God, dog. Like all the other movies I can kind of defend. This one, a lot of the stuff that happened, can't defend it whatsoever. And I guess I'll leave off at my final one being the Street Fighter, The Legend Chun-Li. Look, my problem with this movie, the casting and the interpretations of some of the characters, some of the character interpretations were okay. Like, Vega, I was kind of alright with it, even though Vega's supposed to be this lean, athletic guy, and in this movie he's like this big, buff dude. I'm like, okay, I guess. Chun-Li, I would say she was perfectly cast. But my main problem with this movie is not only are the fights lame, but everything, like the story itself was pretty lame, and the whole thing where every time she fought somebody, she beat them. And it was like not. It was never a moment of like, okay, she can't handle this situation. This guy's gonna kick her ass. You don't really get that in this movie. She beat everybody like it wasn't nothing, and just like I said, the story wasn't really memorable. Most of the casting didn't seem right. The fights were lackluster. The only real good thing about this is the casting they had for Chun-Li, and I think, and that chick from Lana from Smallville, yeah. If they do redo Street Fighter as a movie, I would like to see her be that character again. But at least they weren't wearing these bright ass costumes like they did in the freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme version. But anyways, guys, in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts were on this video. What are some of the movies that you didn't like that I named? And give me a critique or your thoughts on those as to why you didn't like those either. Also, be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and that notification button to get the best of what's going on here on the Narik channel. Remember, Thursdays and Tuesdays, even though I said that backwards, we do upload videos, so stay tuned and catch those. And we'll catch you guys later in the next video. Peace out.